The rain lashed against the windows of the old manor house, each drop a tiny drumbeat against the glass. Inside, Inspector Davies paced the drawing room, his brow furrowed in concentration. The air hung heavy with the scent of stale tobacco and the faint, metallic tang of blood. The victim, Lady Eleanor Cavendish, lay sprawled on the Persian rug, her elegant gown stained crimson. Her eyes, usually bright and full of life, were now vacant, staring up at the ornate chandelier. A single, delicate pearl earring lay beside her, a stark contrast to the brutal scene. Davies, a seasoned detective with a reputation for solving even the most baffling cases, surveyed the scene. The room was in disarray, furniture overturned, and a trail of blood leading from the door. It was clear a struggle had taken place. "Anything from forensics, Sergeant?" Davies asked, turning to his assistant, a young man named Jones. "Preliminary report suggests the weapon was a blunt object, possibly a heavy candlestick," Jones replied, holding up a photograph of the broken candlestick lying near the body. "The time of death is estimated to be sometime between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. last night." Davies nodded, his gaze sweeping over the room. "Any signs of forced entry?" "None, sir. All doors and windows were locked from the inside," Jones reported. The house was a veritable labyrinth of rooms, each with its own secrets. The Cavendish family, once known for their wealth and influence, had fallen on hard times in recent years. Lady Eleanor, the family matriarch, had inherited the manor but had been plagued by financial woes. "We need to interview the family," Davies said, his voice firm. "Start with the servants." The servants, a motley crew of long-term employees and recent hires, were gathered in the kitchen. There was Mrs. Jenkins, the elderly housekeeper, her face etched with worry, Thomas, the butler, his expression impassive, and two young maids, Mary and Emily, their eyes wide with fear. Davies questioned them one by one, but none seemed to have any information about the murder. They all claimed to have been in their rooms at the time of the crime, each with their own alibi. "Mrs. Jenkins, you said you were in your room reading," Davies said, his voice gentle but penetrating. "Did you hear anything unusual?" Mrs. Jenkins, her hands trembling, shook her head. "No, sir. I was reading my book and didn't hear a thing." Davies felt a flicker of doubt. The old woman's demeanor seemed off, her eyes darting nervously around the room. He pressed on, questioning each servant in detail, searching for any inconsistencies, any hint of guilt. As the hours passed, Davies began to feel a sense of frustration. The servants were tight-lipped, their stories consistent but lacking in detail. The family, too, seemed to be hiding something. The Cavendish family consisted of Lord Cavendish, a frail and sickly man confined to his bed, their eldest son, William, a brooding and withdrawn young man, and their daughter, Amelia, a beautiful and spirited woman known for her extravagant lifestyle. William, pale and gaunt, sat in the library, his face a mask of grief. Amelia, her eyes red-rimmed and swollen, sat in the drawing room, clutching a handkerchief.